Today, ladies and gentlemen, we get to Shocker. And that's the way it is. Hello everybody, welcome back to the Wes Craven movie reviewing marathon, and today we're getting to Shocker! Shocker! From 1989. Now this is the alternate artwork from Scream Factory, but of course I have a soft spot in my heart for the original artwork. And man, Shocker. Shocker is a hell of a lot of fun, and I'm so glad that we finally got into this movie. I've been meaning to talk about this movie for so long. It was really cool rewatching this movie again. This is a film that, like I said, when I was a kid, I had gotten a 3-pack DVD set. It had The Serpent and the Rainbow, this film, and The People Under the Stairs. And Shocker was always a lot of fun to me. I used to be a mega fan of this movie. I don't know if it holds up quite as good, but it's still a damn fun movie. This is a film that I think is a lot of fun. It's a blast to watch. It's not an ounce scary, but it has the fun factor, and you can't deny that. Shocker, of course, like I said, came out in 1989. Kind of a bad year for horror, 1989. I mean, a lot of bad sequels, or at least a lot of bad performing sequels. This movie didn't make that much money. A lot of horror films in the late 80s didn't really have that big of a draw. And I feel like that's kind of why after the late 80s and to the 90s and the mid-90s, horror took a little bit of a dip. It was direct-to-video stuff. It was more low-key stuff. Barely anything getting theatrical. And if it was theatrical, it just wasn't really making a noise. It wasn't really making an impact. And I feel like Wes Craven later on with releasing Scream would finally bring that light, the flame back to the horror genre. Because even though you had Leprechaun, you had a few other movies, Silence of the Lambs, people don't consider that a horror film. You still had quite a bit of movies coming out in the early 90s into the mid-90s, but it just, like I said, it wasn't anything that was a big hit, and this was supposed to be Wes Craven's next big thing. Horace Pinker, the guy who survived the electric chair, no more Mr. Nice Guy. I mean, they were marketing this guy like he was the next Freddy Krueger. And I know a lot of people after seeing this movie were disappointed, especially way back in the day. This is one of those films that, the older you go, like the farther you go back, like to the 80s reviews of this movie, a lot of people hated this movie. This is considered one of the worst Wes Craven movies. I would say over the years, gotten a small cult following, nothing big, but there are a few people out there that do acknowledge Shocker, which I'm glad. I'm a fan of this movie, but I can't say, I don't know if I would say it's one of Wes Craven's best made movies. But I think this is one of his funnest movies. This is a movie that I never got scared of, never think is creepy, never think is scary. This is pure fun. This is pure entertainment. And if I can watch it in that mindset, to me, it's a very, very well done film. It's a badass movie. I mean, this movie has some real badass moments. And the plot of Shocker, you have Horace Pinker, played by Mitch Pileggi, this serial killer who's going around killing families. I mean, he's doing a bunch of horrific, awful crimes. I mean, he's killing, just like I said, families and just a large body count, slaughtering these people. And he's obsessed with, like, TVs and electronics. That's the gimmick of the movie, is electricity and electronics and stuff like that. And, of course, the electric chair. And essentially what you got this guy who is the lead character of the film, Peter Berg, Jonathan, who's a football player, and one day his family gets killed by Horace Pinker, ends up finding out that through his dreams he can locate Horace Pinker and basically tries to stop him that way. Eventually one thing leads to another and Horace Pinker is captured, and that isn't it. Horace Pinker is fried in the electric chair and gets these powers to possess people, to use electricity, to hop in and out of TVs, travel through electric currents, do satellite signals, and he's able to do all that fun stuff. And basically, it's up to Peter Berg to figure out how he's going to stop this guy. And like I said, this movie, watching it again, it definitely calmed down my opinion on this movie, because I used to think this is like one of the best Wes Craven movies, one of the best horror films. I don't know if I put it up that high anymore, but it is a pretty damn fun movie. I mean, Mitch Pileggi alone, his acting alone is just so over the top, so energetic, so just out there performance, such a just energetic performance. And I love that aspect of this movie. I mean, his performance gets you amped, just watching him on screen. It's just a joy. I mean, this dude's just living it up as this character, Horace Pinker. And Horace Pinker is the kind of villain that you love to hate. He's a disgusting, awful guy who luckily also does have moments where he gets his ass kicked. Peter Berg at the end of the movie realizing the ability that he has over Mitch Pileggi. And that's kind of the weird thing with this movie is, well, there's a lot of weird things, but the one thing I just realized was, let's say there was a Shocker Part 2, and let's say they wanted to make 5 sequels. What else would you do with this movie? Because there's kind of no way you can come back from this ending, and we already know the limitations of Horace Pinker. We already know that if you're inside the TV with him, you can control him. If he's in an electric circuit, you can turn the electricity off, and he's there, he's gone. He's kind of an easy defeated foe to where it's like, okay, so if the plan was to make a franchise out of this guy, then where would you go? I really don't know where you would go, because this movie ends with Horace Pinker being trapped inside of a broken TV. And the only way that you could continue that is, oh, well, somebody got the TV and it shocked them and they got possessed, or, some weird way they would do it. But it's like, well, we already seen what Horace Pinker can do. The thing about Freddy Krueger that was so cool is that with him being a dream demon, there's so many different forms you can get of Freddy Krueger. There's so many different ideas with him. There's so many different settings. Here, I mean, the most he can do is possess people, hop in and out of TVs, and use electricity to shock people occasionally. That's about all Horace Pinker can do as supernatural powers. And it's just, I guess in a way, you could make a legacy sequel, Shocker Returns or something like that, and it'd be about the internet and him using Wi-Fi and the internet and everything. But, there really wasn't much else you could do with this character. So I feel like that was very limiting. I think also Wes Craven put a lot of Nightmare on Elm Street stuff in here. And I guess I can get into the problems. Number one, this movie is a bit long. It should have been an hour and a half. It's an hour and 50 minutes. I feel like there are some slow points. There are some scenes that do drag a bit. The pacing is not the best in this movie. Also, Mitch Pileggi is entertaining, but there is times where it just goes way over the top. Not even just him. Just the movie goes way out there to the point to where I'm like, this is straight up Goof Troop type stuff. And the fact that Peter Berg goes through the whole movie without getting arrested, without getting the cops on his tail, it just I don't know. There's points where it does get a bit too far out there. Also, the chemistry between the two love interests, the lead character Peter Berg and his girlfriend. I'm trying to see here. Camille Cooper, I think. There wasn't any chemistry there, and I thought the acting was real bad, and there's just a lot of cringeworthy dialogue in there. So I really don't think that works. Again, there are scenes that it just feels like it's a bit too out there. The scene where he's worshiping an electric god and the lips come out, you got it, baby. Like, what the fuck? There is some goof stuff in there. However, there is a lot of fun stuff where they're in the TV and they're going from movie to movie and they're going through war footage and they're just fighting, fist fighting. They go through a living room and they're fighting. They go back into the TV. They go into a newsroom. That's the way it is. And just, I don't know, that's such a classic scene. The park sequence goes on for like 15 to 20, not 20 minutes, or I wouldn't say 15 to 20, but maybe 10, 12 minutes of just them in a park of you finding out that Horace Pinker can possess people. So it becomes a body hop movie for a little while. And he's just going through and shooting people. He's possessing little girls and possesses this big buff dude. who I think is a guitarist for a band, but the band isn't coming to mind, but he's like a guitarist for one of the bands. You got a kick-ass soundtrack, Dudes of Wrath. I believe you got a little bit of Megadeth in there. A lot of thrash metal. Really love the music and the score. It fits this movie. It totally fits this movie. I think the look of Horace Pinker is pretty cool. The jumpsuit, the little bit of a checkerboard put in there, and the burn on his head. I think it works. I like the idea of Horace Pinker becoming one with electricity, basically. He's just able to go into TVs, body hop, able to go into the signal of a satellite. You know, I'm going nationwide now. But I love all that. I think Wes Craven directed the movie very well. I think it's shot pretty decently. It just, again, the love interest stuff is real lame and cringe. And you have this idea that Peter Berg, well, I need goggles to see at the bottom of this lake, because you found that this necklace, which is another lame plot, where it's like this necklace somehow has the power against Horace Pinker. Why? How? I don't know. They don't explain it. And so Horace Pinker throws this necklace out into the lake. And so Peter Berg's whole thing is, well, I need the coach to go back to my house to get my goggles, because I can't see in this water. Are you stupid? Why would you send people back to your house? Horace Pinker knows where you live. You got them killed, Peter Berg. Or the character. It's just like, what are you doing, man? Why would you send them back there? So, of course, the coach gets killed, and he becomes possessed. And a really kind of creepy scene. There are a few scenes that can be a bit eerie as far as the lighting and direction. But also there's moments where, like, Peter Berg's character, Jonathan, he's just like trusting these people after they just got possessed. It's like, dude, what are you doing? There's a lot of like, what are you doing, dude? This guy, this lead is kind of an idiot sometimes. He's not a bad actor per se, but he's just like an idiot sometimes, where it's like, I'm going to go and I'm going to have them go back to my house to get the goggles. Bro, you got a couple dollars on you? Go to the fucking store nearby and buy some new goggles. Go back to the water, get the necklace. What are you going to do with that necklace anyways? How is that going to help you? You still don't even know how you're going to stop this guy. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of plot holes there. There is some good death scenes. Nothing really crazy gory, but there is a lot of bloody scenes. There's a scene where Mitch Pileggi bites these people's fingers off and makes this guy's lip just stretch out from biting his lip. Finger looking good. That's great. Just a lot of fun lines from Mitch Pileggi. Let's get on with the killing. No more Mr. Nice Guy. And when he's in the chair and he's just like basically taunting the Jonathan character. You know, you shot me through the fucking leg, you little shit. I don't know. He's just such a fun character, such a blast of a villain. I think Mitch Pileggi, who would go on to play a lot of low-key characters, real, like, down-to-earth, kind of quiet characters in, like, the X-Files and stuff. So the fact that in this movie, I mean, he had the best job in the world. I mean, just let loose. And I know a lot of people roast that. They think it's awful. But at the time, to match Freddy Krueger, you needed the next big personality. You needed the next big thing. And your next villain had to be somebody that had an explosive amount of personality. And so Mitch Pileggi, I mean, the guy had a lot of fun making this movie. I can tell he did. It was just like, I love the performance by Mitch Pileggi. It's a bit over the top at times where it can get real stupid and like kind of out there, but I think for what he does, it's very serviceable, and it's a lot of fun to watch. And yeah, like, this is a movie that you can't take 100% serious. You just can't. This is a movie that is 100% trying to be fun, trying to be a blast. You got a rock and roll soundtrack. You got some crazy bloody death scenes. You got a body hopping spirit through electricity who goes into a satellite signal. It's just like some really out there stuff. I mean, the only thing that I think really, really doesn't work in this movie is the whole power of love thing and the necklace and the ghost of the girlfriend protecting Jonathan. I'm just like, that's so sappy. It's awful. But Yeah, I think Shocker, I'm going to give it a solid 3 out of 5. I used to give it a much higher score. In all honesty, if you would have asked me like 5 years ago, I would have given it a 4 out of 5. There's a lot of problems there. There's some pacing issues. There's some over the top to where it gets real goofy type of stuff. There's some stupid moments, some really looking special effects at times. I do feel like it had a bit of an identity crisis where it really didn't know where to go, and it has a cool idea, but again, it's like an idea that it's a one and done. Like, you can't really, how can you follow this up type of thing? Like, where else can you go from here? But yeah, I mean, its direction is pretty decent. I think that the music is pretty decent. I like the music. I don't know if I can say it's one of my top 5 Wes Craven movies, but it's a lot of fun. It's a blast. It's Shocker. Go check out Shocker. I mean, you can't hate it too much. It's too fun to hate. But yeah, that's about it for my thoughts on Shocker, guys. I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5. I was a hair away from saying 3 out of 10, and that would have sounded bad because I would be like, oh, it's trash. But it's not. I don't think it's trash. I think it's a pretty serviceable, pretty well done, pretty decent film. Very entertaining. But yeah. Anyways, it's going to be it for this review, guys. Definitely comment down below your guys' thoughts on Shocker. If you guys have seen it, let me know what you guys think about it in the comments. Again, I'll be leaving links to all my social media stuff in the description below. But anyways, that's going to do it for my review on Shocker, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care, and let the Wes Craven movie reviewing marathon continue. See you guys later. Peace.